Welcome to Chanakya, where you get the right guidance at the right time. We have Gayatri and Ananth, two expert coaches joining in this session. Welcome Gayatri, welcome Ananth.
Thank you, Shik.
The situation we have here is as follows. You are an Agile coach and you are observing the daily stand-up being facilitated by Ram, the Scrum Master. As the team members started answering the three questions, many developers were saying that the stories they had worked on were on hold, not reaching the done stage as testing work was pending with the testing team. The tech lead said that the testing team was becoming a bottleneck and wanted the Scrum Master to address this impediment. The test lead rebutted quickly, saying that they had tested whatever build was provided to them and they were waiting for the next build. Meanwhile, they had logged defects. The testers were also complaining that the developers were not updating the defect status in the test tool so that they would know which defects have been fixed in which build. This discussion consumed the entire 15-minute duration of the daily stand-up. After the meeting, a frustrated Ram comes to you, the coach, for advice on the situation and how to address it. What is your analysis and advice for Ram? Let me start with you, Ananth. What is your overall assessment of the situation?
It's not a pretty picture, is it? There's a lot of finger pointing going on, and, developer versus tester, and there's a lot of us and them happening. And this is in spite of the fact that they're actually co-located, right? And there is this notion we have, if you co-locate, you get collaboration automatically, and it's proven wrong, obviously, in this case. A couple of other observations as I listen to the scenario. One is the us and them. Right? There's a lot of particularly developers and testers seem to be in subgroups. Yes. You don't get a sense that they are working as one team. Right? And the second observation is that they seem to be relying on processes and tools for communication, right? Particularly defect status and stuff like that, right? And that is, directly the basic value, one of the core values of Agile, where we say that, individual interactions over process and tools. Yeah. So I think that's another thing I noticed, that, it's not in the quiet spirit of Agile. Anything else, Gayatri, you could see?
The one positive thing that I saw was that they are all focused on done criteria, right? Yeah. They were complaining, but at the same time they were complaining for getting the stories to move to completion. I think that is important in the long run. Yeah. Another is, I think some area of improvement is they are logging defects in a tool for something like in process, in the sprint, you are finding a defect. Something like you are finding a defect, you are closing it, and you are going to be closing tomorrow. Why go log it in that and then track it to closure and all? Those are wasteful effort in my view.
Excellent inputs from both of you on the current situation. Ananth, is this a typical scenario in Scrum teams, and if so, what is causing it?
Yeah, it is. I think it's indeed, it is. I've seen it often in, particularly in teams which have just started adopting Scrum. Right? They've got this, baggage. They've been operating as developers and testers silos functionally, and maybe even by design, right? And they find it very difficult to change their behavior to work as one team. Right? Okay,
so isn't behavioral change in general difficult to achieve, especially in a short period? How does it not take a lot of time? And what's your experience with Agile teams on that?
Yeah. There's no shortcut here actually when it comes to behavioral change. I found that if I were the coach or even the Scrum Master, I would, when someone uses the word like we, right, I would interject and say, who's we here, right? And the team gets it, right? Whoever said it gets it, and then they start changing the behavior. In some cases, what would work is, you have a one-on-one with the senior team members and coach them on it. And they would, they would come back and become role models, and the team sort of starts following suit. Yeah.
Okay. Good points, Ananth. Gayatri, can you suggest some actions for addressing this situation?
First is, apart from what Ananth brought out on the one team message, there are some near-term thing that the team can start looking at. First is maybe the team should start looking at defects to be fixed. Those are low-hanging fruits, if you will. Have them closed and move them into done criteria immediately. And the second is things like, there's no need to, discontinue the defect tracking, in-process defect tracking, right? It's a wasteful effort. Have a visual board and use that for tracking. And in some cases I have seen that doing a XP one where you bring in testers and developers to pair for a sprint or probably 2 sprints to help them understand each other's role, as well as kind of collaborate, and it almost is like a knowledge dissemination kind of also, connection, and it will help in kind of knowledge dissemination and all of that also. That could be some of those things that I would give it a shot.
Okay, excellent. We now have a set of the near-term actions that we can take, as well as the medium-term actions to consider. Ananth, anything more?
There's one thing that comes to my mind. When you were explaining what was happening there, you said they let the daily stand-up drift, right? All the way 15 minutes consumed to one issue. I think the Scrum Master need to step in and be more assertive. I mean, not just in the daily stand-up, in general, in the ceremonies. So sort of not allow that, and then manage the meetings. Yeah.
Good point, Ananth. If I can summarize from my notes all the major points. In the early stages of Scrum adoption, silo style working can be seen in terms. This is due to the fact that subgroups from functional areas tend to continue their earlier ways of working. They need to be weaned away from those. So, to address the silo style way of working, the Scrum Master can guide the team with some near-term actions that foster interactions and improve collaboration. The Scrum Master can himself improve in facilitating the daily stand-up and not let it get bogged down just in one topic. In the medium term, the Scrum Master, through effective mentoring, needs to bring about behavior change in the team towards the one team mindset. Does that sound like a reasonable summary, Ananth?
Yeah,
sounds good.
Yeah.
Gayatri? Okay. Thanks, Gayatri and Ananth, for your valuable perspectives and guidance on what Ram can do. I am sure it will help other Scrum Masters like Ram facing a similar situation. Thanks for joining us.